Boom. Me and Charlie Seacrist are here speaking about our experience and what we have planned in the future. Uh, so Charlie, why don't we take this time, just introduce yourself, let the audience know who you are and how you came to find GLL and how we eventually met up last weekend.
Yeah, man, it's kind of a crazy story. I got into pickup like a bunch of guys do. I went through a breakup, and then you're out in the dating landscape trying to figure it out for yourself. Not a lot of great advice out there, so you kind of search for wherever, and it was actually More Plates, More Dates, Derek's channel, where I first heard about GLL. He talks a lot about fitness, but occasionally does some of the date stuff. And I was like, oh, you know what? This is some of the better dating advice I've ever actually heard. He mentioned, oh, he
Mhm.
learned it all from this guy named Chris and this website GLL. So once I found out about that, I hunted it down, hopped on the website, and it was by far the best pickup resource I ever read. Since finding that, I've read probably every single article on there, listen to every podcast, watch every video I could find, and you were
No
always
doubt.
always talked about as this legendary figure on that forum, and so it was. I always looked up to you. I like listened to all the podcasts intently, wanted to learn everything I could from you, and then once you reappeared on the scene pretty recently, I just hopped on as soon as I could, try to get a hold of your contact information, and you know, we hit it off pretty quick. It seemed like we maybe had similar interests, and we had a good opportunity to get to work together. So I just, you know, went along with everything as best I could. I said, let's do it, go full bore on it. We were able to get you out here to Charleston, work together. I was able to take what I've learned from GLL and see how it came to be, put everything into practice, and it was an awesome time. And here we are now. Learned a lot. It's been pretty successful journeys thanks to GLL and Chris and you and Derek, and now I get a chance to work with you. It's been amazing.
Yeah, man, absolutely, dude. And just talk a little bit about like what you did, what like how your success was like right before our meetup and some of the stuff just from our some of our community. I guess you said some of our communications even helped trigger you to get to like press the go button a little bit more,
Oh
like
yeah. So I've
the
been,
killer instinct.
yeah, absolutely. I've been doing some of this stuff for a couple of years now. It was maybe about 1.5, 2 years ago when I found GLL and got really into it, like I said, and started putting into practice all that stuff, the physical
Mm-hmm.
screening and all that stuff. Whereas beforehand, I was still going out there and talking to girls and trying to kill my approach anxiety, as a lot of the community likes to say. Uh, Once I learned the better way, learned the way you guys teach it, I started putting those things into practice, started getting better and better results. Wasn't without its frustration, but
Mm-hmm.
things started to come along. The way my life has been going, I wasn't able to go full bore into that sort of player lifestyle and be a bachelor all the time. I've had to step back and take some breaks from it. But once I got in contact with you and knew we had a chance to work together, I was like, okay, I got to step back on the gas and get back out there. And there was just something going on. I don't know if it was just the stars aligning or whatever it was since getting in contact with you and really trying to continue to implement all that stuff I learned. Uh, I've just been very successful lately. People,
Yeah.
girls I've met in the past that were sort of on the back burner. They've come back with a vengeance. Girls that I meet out in
Hmm.
public are open. I've had pretty solid
Yeah.
results. So it's been good. It's been good recently. Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great to hear. I think similar success, I could relate totally to that. It's funny when we and Charlie were together, like we had a lot of downtime and we watched a lot of, actually, we tuned into a lot of pickup videos, like whatever was accessible to the average guy, because I haven't done much research lately. If you guys know my story, I've been out of the game for like 7 years now. Um, and now we just been doing some research together. He has a bigger pulse on it than I did, but there's really not a lot of shit out there right now. And we were tuning into like where we think these coaches actually went wrong. Like their starting point is either they're targeting, just rock bottom cases where guys are totally socially incapable or basically socially retarded, and everybody starts to like feed into that and believe that because they sound good, they sound professional, they're salesmen, and they tell you they sound like doctors even, or counselors, or some of these guys are social workers. And you start to really suck up all that stuff about how you have anxiety, and you
Mm-hmm.
definitely have approach anxiety, you don't know what you're doing. Like, honestly, dude, and that's just, I bought it just like it sounds like Charlie bought it. And honestly, when you really look at reality of it, it was never the case for me, actually. But I refused to look at the reality and bought into what these guys were saying and what they still are selling. Um,
Yeah.
because in reality, the guys I grew up in high school with, or whoever was in high school, just from what I observed as a kid, people had social skills. Like, they were able to pull once in a while. And I think most guys' starting point is more like middle of the road, as opposed to like socially retarded. And you need to do a 12-week approach anxiety program. And they want you to believe that, and I think it sells more. And it's easier to deal with because
Absolutely.
most of the guys out there don't have the actual experience to go teach somebody and back up what they're preaching. So it's easier to teach that
Absolutely.
and say, like, make it this complex, complicated formula. You need to do this, how many approaches, and that. Like, you can really complicate the fuck out of this thing. And the reason they do that is because a lot of these guys don't have any experience themselves, and they don't get laid often. And it's just, they're just like average, randomly getting laid guys. And some of them aren't even getting laid. I mean, I know Chris has made testimonies that some of his teachers we paid thousands and thousands of dollars for were not even, not even getting laid, bro. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah. It's the landscape right now, sadly, is not too pretty from what me and Charlie were doing in our downtime, basically.
No, it's a little pathetic, and yeah, you're right. The reason that's so such an attractive solution to people is to say you have approach anxiety and this is what you need to do is because it's a simple prescription. I can tell you what to do
Mm,
if I can say the only thing you need to do is beat approach anxiety, because then I could just say, oh, you need to go talk to 1,000 girls. That's my $1 million advice. That's what I'm gonna build a YouTube brand off of or something. When in reality, it you're the game is much more fluid. You're in the game. There's fluidity. It takes social calibration, experience. It takes knowing how to escalate. That's you can't sell that as easily. It's um, and these guys want something to sell. So it's
you're
a
right about
simple
that. You're right
prescription,
about that.
and that's why it's so
Hmm.
popular, I think. And I bought into it
I
too.
agree,
I
man.
believed I had approach anxiety because, and I want to continue believing I had it because then I knew what to do. Oh, as long as I have it, then I know how to beat it. I'll just keep going out and talking to girls instead of playing the game, which is a different thing.
You're absolutely right. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Um, but basically, I think we really just like came to the conclusion that these guys, they also want to just leave out how instantaneous this is. And Charlie mentioned words like calibration and experience that you really need. A lot of it is so instant and so quick. Like, attraction could be had instantly, basically. Like, you need, you definitely need the experience. And I myself could say a lot of this stuff, you can write it on paper and try to formulate it the best you can, but nothing beats, infield work and just repetition and really rewiring what we're rewiring is the reactions we're getting from females. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That is invaluable experience that through repetition, we're rewiring how we respond to all these different sort of reactions we get, and blowouts and rejections from women. And we're really, I guess a friend of mine said, you're kind of like desensitizing yourself to it, and you're not walking away, depressed for the next month, or, totally shattered and ripped apart. So once you start to overcome that, that is a big part of it. And that's why you often hear guys who've been through this, that in fact it is a numbers game. It just, there's no real shortcut to it. There really isn't. You need to go through a lot of this stuff, the repetition, it is a lot of hours. But if you're serious about this and want to change your brain basically and the chemistry of it and the reactions of it, you need hours out in the field. And there's really, we could try to our best through others and visualization and what I mean by visualization, just being around somebody who's been through the um, ebbs and flows and the traps and everything, and you just start to absorb what that guy is doing, and that can expedite the process.
Yeah.
But there's really no like secret pill that you can take that I've come across, or any of the successful guys that I've met have taken. You know, a lot of these guys have learned the hard way. You know, they felt those blowouts. They took the blowouts to the core. They've, you know, even to the point of like, you know, horrible relationships, in and out of horrible relationships, suicide. I mean, you name it. We've sometimes you do in fact have to hit rock bottom. And but guys like me, Charlie, and our friends Chris and stuff, we overcame the community and what they were trying to sell. It's easy for us to see through what they were selling, and we don't have animosity or hatred for these people. We just overcame it with seeing what they were doing and where they're coming from, basically. Like we overcame it because
in mind. We had a goal in
right,
mind.
and we had the goal in mind. We had the determination. I knew for sure I wanted to start having success with women. You know, I wanted to date women. I wanted to be with women. I wanted experience with women. I wanted to see what it was like. I mean, I was really a 19-year-old virgin, and you know, was like really scared and overwhelmed by women and shy and nervous in high school. I had plenty of opportunities to smash girls, but just like my buddies were in high school, but I really had no ability to capitalize. I was a decent looking guy, so I had my chances, and I was just basically, so I was crippled, you know. So you would think, oh, these guys have it right. And to some degree they do. You know, some cases you do. I think I was actually one of these cases where I was crippled, but once I got the ball rolling, and that's why I will not have any hatred towards going to one of these workshops, or it's more of a brotherhood or a camaraderie that gets the ball rolling for you, and other people are doing it, and there's just like when you join forces with other like-minded people, there's power in numbers, and it's easier to deflect and diffuse and take the load off of like some of these harsh rejections, because this is a serious thing we're getting involved with. Guys have all sorts of baggage and mental issues, and as well as girls. So we're basically taking all of that, all of our experience, and bringing it into the field, and you know, bringing our total package to the table and presenting that to the world and the women we meet. You know, interacting.
Sometimes that can be an explosive interaction when you have all your baggage and you run into a girl that has all her baggage. You know, I've had some of those bad experiences that I told you about when we were together a couple weekends ago, and every guy does. And they can definitely be tough for a lot of guys to get over, for sure, and leave, like you said, emotional scars and make it tough to move forward. But I don't think there's any way to get to the point where you can deflect or let some of these things just roll off your back without going through that. And that is where, like you said, the hours in the field come into play. But it's I think it's just important to note that it's not just the hours. Like we watched that one guy, who his whole thing was, I'm gonna go talk to girls, but never like the goal is to just beat approach anxiety. So I'm gonna go talk to girls, but never drive the conversation anywhere. I'm just talking to them is enough. Going and doing it while pushing to get what you want, get a relationship, get a date, get laid, whatever. You have to put in the hours, but be pushing it somewhere. That's where you get the reactions. That's where you get the experience. That's where you learn and can grow. So, guys, it's not enough to just be there. You have to be there and be driven.
Right. Exactly.
So I
I
don't think
don't know
that
where that
message gets
comes
that enough.
from. And that guy felt like it was that was well explained, Charlie. And it's like guys are either believe that they need to do this sort of just speaking for a while. That may be the prescription for somebody who really is totally crippled. And I've come across plenty of cases throughout the years where I'm coaching guys and they are really indeed crippled, and I'm just getting them to just socialize with other people and to try to say hello to people, be kind to people, say hi to people, open the door for people, whatever, just
Yeah, yeah,
anything just to get the ball rolling. And
yeah.
there
Just
are
in a
cases, I'm
talkative
not
mood.
denying that.
Yeah,
Exactly. And me, I really have that mentality even till this day. Me and Charlie are just friendly people. We like to be around people. We'll talk to people so that, even like the worst case scenario, because yes, like Charlie said, we have a goal like kind of in mind. You do have a goal with you, a motivation kind of, but like at the end of the day, what at the very least, we are already separated ourselves from the majority. We're not getting ripped and intoxicated. We're not causing a lot of problems anymore. I used to back in my day, don't get me wrong, but um, we are just spreading good vibes throughout the streets
that's
and
huge. That's huge.
really, yeah, that is huge. We're just spreading out good vibes throughout the streets. And really, yes, we do have a goal. We would like fucking to get some sex, and there's nothing wrong with sex. The giving ourselves permission to say yes, we want to go have sex is a big part of this, and we're looking for sexually available women. Yes, that's a part of it. But at the very least, if it falls through, because you're always dealing with the unknown, we don't know what could happen. We could do all the right things, and it just still does not come through. You may say, why? You can ask why all day long. There's just women, and there's plenty of videos out there that say some women are just not sexually available, either through logistics, through social dynamics, clicks, and all sorts of things that could prevent your goal from taking place. So at the end of the day, really, we still walk away. We could be frustrated, but at the end of the day, when me and Charlie would come to the end of a day, we would still feel like, this isn't too bad. We feel satisfied. At least we didn't go do harm. We weren't intoxicated. We were,
Yeah.
we spread good vibrations throughout the city of Charleston, and at every bar we went to, at every social club, we were just kind, generous people that are just being polite, and we're not so vested. You can never be so vested in this. This is when you run into problems that you start to really get so attached to the outcome. You have to realize that what you're bringing to the table and the goal will come to pass, at a good rate, at a good percentage, since it's like gambling or any odds, your success rate will increase, no doubt about it. But you don't give a fuck that much if it doesn't, because you gave it everything you got. You did logistics. You can sense out a social dynamic. You could size up and read a room pretty quickly and realize if it's going somewhere or not going somewhere. You don't waste countless hours talking about nonsense with some girl for no reason, just to conquer some sort of like approach anxiety that you don't even have, and you're too ashamed to admit or give yourself permission that no, we are still man enough to say we're looking for, we do have a goal in mind. We would like to fucking pull and get laid. We're not scared to say that. That's another big part of it. This shame and this, how to like be like polite about it. Oh, we don't really care. No,
Yeah, and just talk
make
to
that very
one
clear.
girl for hours because
Yeah,
you're too afraid to
yeah,
lay it out on the line. You're just hoping that everything's going to come your way. You're just hoping, oh, if I hang out, you're a hungry dog hanging out the by the kitchen, just hoping someone's going to throw you some snacks. It's not like that.
yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of pickup videos out there that are show guys just talking to women like with no direction and just
No intent.
saying no intent, no sexual intent. No, he's not going over logistics with the girl. He's not even escalating. He's really coming from the standpoint of a weird friend.
Yes.
And actually, in fact, since we've already separated ourselves from the pack by saying, okay, we're going to cold approach women, that is already a different category. You then either become a weird guy who's just talking to them with no sexual intent, or you are the guy who's going to get blown out really quick, or it's going to be a quick rejection, or you're going to be in and out pretty fast. There's really no need. I mean, at my very beginning stages, I remember one of my first approaches at one of these workshops, I had about an hour interaction with this very cute Mexican girl. And, all my skills weren't polished, but I mean, knew there was some attraction. I had some, of course, I always, even from Jump Street, was not afraid to hold the woman hand if she was interested in me. I had some confidence with my no being told that I'm an attractive guy. So I knew once I could get over that hurdle, you know, it would come no matter what. But I did spend a way too much time just talking for hours with girls too, and I've been through that. But I at least maintained the sexual base. You can't get caught in this gray area where you're like, your intent isn't clear. You don't really know. Are you just being some weird friend guy asking some weird questions? Like, that's more dangerous for guys.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
at first, when guys see my videos, they may be taken back. They'll be like, wow, how'd you just escalate on that girl so quickly? And how she's letting you touch her body. And Charlie's got plenty of videos from this weekend. People have said, oh, wow, he's escalating rather quickly. Yeah. I mean, listen, we're already separating ourselves from the pack. We are cold approaching. Most people are not doing that, especially maybe in bars. You get drunk guys doing it and stuff like that. But if you're going to be doing that stuff, you got to really stand out and be sure about what you're delivering, to these girls, and your intent needs to be crystal clear. And I think what Charlie mentioned is that his killer instinct was sharpening throughout the whole weekend, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a really important point that we talked about and that you just mentioned a little bit was the idea that it's more dangerous to be the guy without clear intent. The guy that
Yep.
comes across as a creep or a weirdo, someone might see you like rubbing a girl's lower back or like holding her hand. That's not the guy that's the weirdo. The guy that's the weirdo is the one that's standing there and no one knows why, right? So
Yeah.
people need to get it through their head that being, showing your intent or being physical is not weird. That's not weird. Not doing that is the weird thing. And I want to go back to a point.
Dude, sorry to cut you off, but since the dawn of time, we're like trying to cover up this whole, are we too sexual, when we all know the truth? We're out there, girls are getting done up, spending hours on makeup, or they're fucking, it's like we don't need to. That's first and foremost. You have to give yourself permission and realize and understand that we're seeking girls who are sexually available, and we're going to be putting that sexual intent forth. And the best way to do that is physical dialogue, physical communication, and escalation. Call it whatever word you want. We're letting it be known, and we're letting it be known rather quickly. We're not wasting too much time. We're going to let it be known, and whatever happens from that, so be it. So be it. We just live with the results. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Charlie.
No, you're good. I also wanted to mention another important thing that you mentioned that I learned from working with you was talking about the importance of positive vibes. We are going out with intent, and we're out here, we're trying to make something happen. We're talking to girls, but the being aware of your vibes, I know that's a very ethereal concept, but your vibes and the vibes that you're putting out and the vibes that you're getting back is hugely important, even to the point of if you're hanging out at a bar and you're maybe talking to a group of girls that you think might be a solid lead, or you're hanging around in a certain area and you just get a feeling of like, oh, I'm getting bad vibes. That's a sign to you, oh, I should be connected with my vibes. I'm getting bad vibes. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go walk around, go to a different area. I'm going to, maybe check out a different bar, talk to a different girl. The vibes, you have to be connected with your gut, listen to your intuition, and try to spread positivity and get positivity coming back to you. That's an important thing to control the night and control your flow state, I think.
I agree with that, Charlie. That's well said. I mean, and I think I'm learning as I coach too. I'm just back in the game. I mean, I've coached plenty of guys throughout my years, but I always had a full-time job on the side. So I was never fully committed to it as I am today. I feel like I'm in my best opportunity to take advantage of it. But I was going somewhere with that. Yeah, I'm learning. The point is I'm still learning, and what we did, last weekend with spreading good vibes. I've always believed in that type of stuff, but he's just hitting home how important it really is. And you get in touch with your intuition. You could, if you walk around, I used to walk around the mall without saying a word to anybody for hours before waiting for my perfect set.
Yeah,
Like, bro, you just walk around and you're just basically just spreading bad vibes. So, throughout the whole thing,
absolutely,
you're just
absolutely.
you're frozen. You're not using your tongue. You're not doing anything. I've spent countless hours doing this, so I could
I've
say,
done it too.
guys, yeah, I'm sure we've all experienced that, where it's just, we're not spreading good vibe. You're not talking. You're not in touch with yourself. You're too locked into a particular face or a particular girl or a particular set. You have this idealistic sort of imaginary set that's going to come along, and you're going to like, that's what you're waiting for. You know what I mean? And it never really comes. And when it does come, she just blows you out, and you're just left there with your dick out, in your fucking hands, because it goes nowhere really. And that's really important to stress. I mean, I
It
think
is.
throughout the whole weekend we spread, we spread good vibrations throughout wherever we go. We're in touch with people. We know what's going on. We're aware of our surroundings. We know we're talking to promoters. We're talking to doormen. We're well aware, and we're generous. We're willing. We're talk to people. We're not like, we don't have, we're not nasty people. Even when we're confronted with violence or conflict, we know how to diffuse it rather quickly.
Yeah,
Just from our intuition and our social abilities, we're able to diffuse even physical altercations pretty easily.
yeah. Positive vibes bring opportunity. Positive vibes create opportunity. So when you're sitting back and
Yeah.
waiting for the perfect opportunity, that's the opposite. That's negative vibes, right? But real quick, I want to mention, I don't know if you're seeing this. I'm seeing remaining time on the meeting is only like 4.5 minutes. Do you see that?
I'm gonna take a look. It doesn't show me a time or anything, dude. Yeah, something popped up and I just like hit
If, if
accept and
if the meeting ends, we can always stop this and record another one and post as a
okay.
part two or something.
You're okay. So
But
yours
I'll
says
let you
four
know. It
minutes.
says
We
like
got
four,
4 minutes left.
yeah, like 4 minutes. So if it
Okay.
cuts us
All
off,
right, man.
but
So yeah, we don't have to get into. I mean, so basically, Charlie got laid, right after the workshop, and what we plan on doing going forward is really putting together a program of about a 5-month program, um, about 6 guys maximum in some sort of mansion downtown in a great location, probably Charleston, because Charlie's headquarters are there. But we plan to put together a really established program from years and years of experience with this, guys. I mean, I've done years at sober houses and talking, all the meetings and groups I've done, seminars, workshops combined, and condensing this into, most importantly, you get the brotherhood, you get daily access to guys who've been in the field day in and day out. And if anyone's seriously interested in this, we're looking for guys like me, Charlie, who are ready, even at the beginning stages, when you're ready to jump in. Your intent is clear to save years and years of just, really running in circles, chasing your tail, headache after headache, jerking off every night, for not getting results. You deserve a sex life. You deserve a better sex life. Everybody
absolutely.
does. We shouldn't be ashamed of it. So yeah, I mean, Charlie, you could chime in there with whatever you want to add here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an awesome idea. This is something Brian has learned from his years in the pickup industry, seeing other pickup mansions where, you know, it's important
Yep.
to be part of a team and part of a community, and that's where greatness really comes from. The greatest stories always come from small communities of guys living together and pushing themselves to be the best. And that's what he's trying to offer here to you guys, is an opportunity to
Yep.
live with him, learn from him, and be in an environment that's going to drive you to success in a place of your life that so many guys find so frustrating, but is not is not unachievable. You know, there is things we can do together to get to the next level. Um, that's just learning about approaching, or learning uh, how to juggle different girls, or learning how to dress right or get in shape. You know, this is a
Yep.
constellation of ideas about how to better yourself as a man and start to get the sex life you deserve, like Sky just said. So we're trying to bring that to
And
you
honestly,
as
this
possible.
sorry to cut you off, but Charlie himself is going to be a big part of this whole thing as well. And he's got a military background, and he's got the discipline to back it up, and he's got the dignity to back it up. He's a good friend. We are good friends. It's a brotherhood of men, and it's a connection that goes beyond just some superior authority, telling you what to do. And that's how a lot of this is. You know, that's how society wants us to believe it is. From childhood, we see teachers and then our parents. This is nothing like this. This is a brotherhood of men who are growing together as men. There is nothing out there that really offers something similar. And if there is, it costs, a crazy amount of money to do, which comes across disingenuous anyway. When someone's offering, a big name
The meeting
celebrity.
might end out of nowhere, just so you know.
Okay.
But if it
Okay.
does, we'll get right
All
back
right.
on and repost.
Okay, no doubt, man, no doubt. So, again, this is a rare opportunity for people to jump on. It's going to be a small knit group at first, but there's going to be room for growth as it grows. But we're going to start off small. But a program of men is what we're looking for, and we're looking to build a community that's going to be successful, no doubt, man. So, all right, man. So, boys, we're back at it. So where we left off basically is that this thing is going to be mainly a group of guys, a small group of guys to start off with, maximum about 6 guys. I'm not going to be able to take on any more than that. It's going to be a mansion and downtown, probably Charleston. There's still some schematics that will be worked out, and just pretty soon, in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there'll be a website that you guys can contact me. So it's not this vague thing where Charlie contacts me on YouTube and it's very difficult to get a hold of me. I'll have my main website up that you guys can go to. It will be scottythewingman.com, and you can go there. I'll have a full layout of what the program is going to be. You guys can enroll immediately. We'll work with you no matter what. We'll try to get you in here, and I know whoever's listening to this is very serious about wanting to change their psychological brains and their chemistries, and have a brotherhood to do it with. Really, like-minded guys. We're strength in numbers. It doesn't have to be a big group. Your strength when there's 4 or 5 guys all on the same page, living together on a daily basis. The power of that is really strong. I've done it in small doses, never a 5-month period, really, to be honest with you. I've lived in sober homes with guys who are trying to get sober, and there's power in that. It could be negative too at times, but it could be really powerful as well. I did it small doses at other sort of pickup mansions that were kind of weird, but they were helpful to a certain extent. I've spoken at sober houses before. I've lived in meditation retreats with monks. I've lived in that type of atmosphere. That can be very powerful. This is going to be a combination of everything, all my years learned, and it's going to be a fucking kick-ass. It's going to be a kick-ass time. It's a lifestyle change, and it should really rewire our brains. And then we're all going to get better. There's no limit to how far we could grow. You're always learning, no matter how so-called skilled you are at this. There's always room to grow and improve. And I've been away from it for 7 years. My fundamentals are still pretty much intact. They're still strong as fuck, but like certain social dynamics are always on the fly. This stuff is coming at you fast, and you have to respond. You don't always have your tools available to you, and you want to be able to score in all circumstances, really. You want to be able to pull in under all circumstances. You want to be able to pull the girl you want to pull in under the right circumstances, whether she's a bartender, some sort of hired gun, or some woman even over the phone. We want to use our ability and increase our chances, exponentially, really, under any circumstances. So, yeah, when you strip me of my ability to escalate and use some of my presence, and it gets a little more challenging for sure. So I'm still learning. I think it's going to benefit, everybody that's in that living together. We're just
Absolutely.
a group of guys living together. Yeah. So chime
Yeah,
in
and
if you want, Charlie.
well, I was going to say, and especially nowadays, there are so many different ways to attack this program. Obviously, there is the in-person approach as the ultimate goal, but so many guys are getting laid with online dating. Obviously, Instagram is a great way to connect with people. You did the interview with Andy from Kill Your Inner Loser. He has that awesome Tinder guide. If you guys haven't read that, I really recommend you guys go check it out. I read that about a year ago. Really drastically helped me with my online dating game. I've taken some of those principles and put them into my Instagram, and Instagram has been great for me lately. There's girls I meet out in town, and maybe they're just friends, maybe they're interested, maybe they're not. We connect over Instagram, but I've been able to make my Instagram attractive to the point that now they see it and now they're interested in me and sliding in the DMs, right? So there's all these different things going on in modern dating. There's all these different, they're either obstacles or they're opportunities. You can view them one of two ways, and you got to get around guys that can help you turn them into opportunities in all the different avenues. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for experience and expertise in all these different ways to be able to come together and make our chances exponentially better, put the best version of ourselves out there in all circumstances. And that's the ultimate goal. And I think we can achieve that.
Yeah. And when we're working together and feeding off each of our strengths and some strengths and weaknesses, I'm a type of guy really to hire a fashion expert. I've never really been, into fashion, but I realize its importance. Each thing is important.
Yeah.
To totally dismiss stuff, is ridiculous. Like each thing, you want to maximize your overall, self, to be your best version, like Charlie said. And, Charlie had a bigger plug on like
improvement. Ultimately, it's really self-improvement at a deep level. So it's all important.
At a very deep level, because most guys either don't follow through with something like this. It's very hard to put together a community at times where everybody's, for the most part on the same page. Sure. One day, Charlie may want to go to the gym with one or two guys and take the guys. We'll also offer a community car where we want to do fitness or spend a day doing fashion, not even the whole day, but you get the gist of it. When I just mean on the same page, we're going to be living together like a brotherhood. And ultimately, yes, improving your sex life is a part of it. But when you're improving your sex life, you're becoming better men. You're becoming stronger men. You're spreading those positive vibes. And when you're doing it with like-minded people, we can always, join forces or we'll usually have a group meeting like in the afternoon at some point. It will be somewhat of a schedule where we can meet each day, because we're not going to be, say there's a total of 6 to 12, 6 to 10 guys. We're not going to be able to be on top of each other day and night. There's going to be certain people who spend time with this guy and spend time with that guy, and we'll come together as a brain trust, a powwow sort of meeting, usually once a day at some point for sure. And then we'll go off and do our thing again. But it will be we'll get a good routine going. And I really don't see any way that it could fail. It can only grow from here. And there's really no stopping two determined people. Charlie has a military background, like I mentioned. He's extremely disciplined. I've had years of discipline in bodybuilding and competing in bodybuilding. And, I think we have a solid nucleus of guys at the core of our group. So, there's really not much out there, like guys that are going to be getting a better deal than this. I don't want to sound like a salesman, but we're doing it regardless. Me and Charlie are doing this. If it's me, him, and one guy, nothing is stopping us from doing this. So if you think that we give a fuck, my whole outlook always doing it, I never really gave a fuck too much about the business. Whatever comes from it, money is a part of life. Like it just is there, but we'll never undermine somebody. I've lived on the streets. I don't care really, honestly. It's going to be me and him doing it anyway. At the end of the day, I'm going to probably move to Charleston and I'm living in a mansion at some point. So we want to do this because we have a love for it. We have a passion for it. We know how strong it could be. We know how it could grow. We know how it could benefit our own lives. And I don't know the mind's maximum capacity and how far we could go as a group, especially. Like I said, I've done it in small doses, but never to this extent what I envision taking place and what type of transformations could take place is really beyond me. So I'm totally open to seeing what takes place, but I know it's going to be something powerful because I've gotten, like I said, little samples of it and doses of it throughout my whole journey of self-improvement, and just living that lifestyle and being ready for that life. So it
Absolutely.
definitely is it's a commitment, but we have a good
Yeah.
nucleus. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Big commitment.
for sure, man.
And the other thing is it's also a content machine. Guys, we live in the content era, and
Yep.
in nowadays you're either a creator or a consumer, and we're gonna be in a place where we're recording our progress. We're gonna be showing what the lifestyle we live, and we're gonna be putting that out there for people. And there's a strong likelihood that people are gonna really respond to what we're trying to achieve. And so I think
Yep.
it's a great opportunity in so many different levels. But
Yeah, and you know what? We're both ripe. Me and Charlie have met for whatever the universe brought us together, and both of us are on fertile ground right now. We're at a perfect opportunity in our lives. We're right around that age demographic, though there are no real age restrictions. We might attract some younger guys in their lower 20s all the way to, I don't give a fuck, 50s. I don't care. There's no
yeah,
age restriction. So but we just happen to, we're ripe and ready to make this thing succeed. Charlie's contract's expiring. We don't need to go into details with that, but he's going to be available for assistance, and he's going to be accessible. We're both going to be very accessible, and we have a lot of time to devote in this. And I think we have a passion for it, and we want to really see what could come of this. The sky really is the limit. I know that's a cliche saying, but the sky's the limit on how far we could take this thing, because just in one weekend we spent like 2.5 days together. And I mean, dude, we're going to be getting, your dreams are going to be fulfilled. They're
yeah,
absolutely going to be fulfilled. We're going to be able to transform each other, help transform each other, be encouraged by each other, be motivated by each other. You see it at sporting events, even, when people rally together, or, and even in politics, when they do rallies and shit, they could be either very negative or they could be very positive. I'm sure there'll be, like Charlie said, some positive feedback on it, but there'll also be another demographic that will not. There will be pushback on it too, because we are pushing the limits. And like Charlie said, the content will be available. We're going to have probably a professional photographer, some sort of. We're going to be getting a lot of footage on tape, like unbelievable footage of what takes place at these events. And I'm not scared of the cameras. So, we'll be prepared. We'll be ready. We'll be armed and ready. And so we're ready for whatever because we know we're doing at the core of our being. We know we're doing the right thing. We know we're building up we're just trying to make better people. We're making better men, as organically as possible. They don't, dude, I've struggled my whole life trying to find a community of guys. We try to befriend high school friends. We try to befriend college roommates. We try to befriend all these people. Why? Because at each person's soul, we try to communicate. We try to bond with each other, and then we try to bond with females on a sexual level. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
That sort of bond and connection is at the core of our being. If you examine your life, you're always trying to connect with like-minded people. Absolutely.
Hey, real quick, I wrote down
Yes.
it. Scotty asked me to write down a couple things that I learned from him the weekend we were together. So I just wrote down some headlines. So maybe now would be a good time for me to share that with some of
Yeah.
the listeners who want to learn, want to improve their game, are curious what if they continue down this path and watching this content and trying to learn from us, what some of the things they could try to improve on. So I just wrote down a couple lines here. Main things I learned from your visit from our coaching session together. Number one was logistics, right? This gets talked about a lot.
First off, Charlie, tell them how long we only had together. Tell them something. We didn't have that much time. I mean, that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. It was a weekend when you were here. You got here late Friday night. we were able to get a little time in Friday night, not too much. And then some of Saturday and Sunday as well. So pretty decent.
Yeah.
Did not everything was perfect, but we had maybe two in total, like 2 nights together. A Sunday night going out isn't maybe the same as a Friday and Saturday night, but something like that.
Right.
Maybe 2.5 nights working together. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say the number one thing was logistics, and this gets talked about a lot, but maybe some details are lost on people. So, uh, when we're talking about logistics, one thing I learned is it's important to bring up logistics in conversation. When you're talking to girls
Hmm.
you're, that you want to bring home, you're almost always going to ask them, "Hey, what's your job? What do you like to do for fun? Oh, you go to school? Where do you go to school? Where did you go to school? What do you study?" There are like regular conversational topics you hit. One of
Hmm.
the main ones you should hit is, what are you doing tonight? What are your plans tonight? And
Hmm.
you should be talking about your logistics. I have a nice place that's close. And if maybe you're in a position where you don't have a nice place that's close, that should be something you should work on as a goal for trying to improve your game. Um, you can always take care of your place, try to make it look nicer, make it friendlier to come back to, a place that you can enjoy bringing girls home. And you could try to put in a place where uh, dates are accessible. Maybe you live in a small town. I bet there's a college town not too far. Maybe you could look into getting a place there or something like that.
Yeah.
That's something that will play a big role. So it should be,
And that's, sorry to cut you off real
yeah, yeah,
quick. Hold your thought.
yeah,
And that's one thing that we are going to be offering, that these are so-called crutches. No, they're not so-called crutches. We're going to have advantages, that most guys don't. We're going to have tremendous advantage. We're going to maximize our logistics to the utmost. And I know it's not everybody could do that, but that's why
yeah,
Charlie's hitting on what you can do if you are in a situation where your logistics sucks. Because you don't need to tell me about bad logistics, bro. That's partially a big reason why, I've my downfall over the 7 years. Logistics is huge. So yeah, carry on, Charlie.
yeah. I mean, and I think we're going to continue to maybe have conversations like this. Maybe we could, depending on how this gets received, if you guys like it, we could hop on meetings more often, talk about
Yeah.
specific questions or whatever. But logistics is important, both in conversation and in preparation. Um, Verbal screening. So we talk a lot about physical screening on GLL. You always hear that talked about. You can do verbal screening too, guys. I learned this from Scotty straight up. If you're in a conversational rut and maybe you don't know where it's going or how to push it, hey, why not just throw out, "Hey, you want to hook up tonight?" I mean, it's a little bold. You could pull it back, say, "Want to hang out at my place tonight," which then goes back to
Yep.
conversing about logistics. The screening doesn't just have to be physical, and that also goes back to intent. So that's another thing for you guys to chew
Hear
on.
me out. We're giving yeah, we're giving our personality permission to be free. We're
Hmm.
giving ourselves and our personality that is buried inside of us to come out and be free, to be fun, to be flirty, to be loving, to let ourselves be free. How crammed up inside I feel like at times, where you just don't let that. We're giving ourselves permission to really let
Absolutely,
that
yeah,
personality again be free. A lot of times what Charlie's saying is, when we're verbally saying, like, hook up, you're in a good mindset already. Your vibrations are already, in a pretty good place. And, if you're in that rut, like he said, it's not a bad option sometimes to say, like, let's, well, I want to hook up with you tonight. We're hooking up tonight,
yeah,
in a friendly sort of way. Well, friendly, yeah, in a way. If it's not going great escalation, say she pulls away, say there's a little push and pull, which happens, it could happen quite a bit. There's some push and pull, and, then you're pulling, you're back and forth, you're having fun with it. You just try to have fun with it. And like you said, you verbally can say a lot of stuff. You can get away with a lot of stuff verbally, that's for sure. And
yeah,
you can make it crystal clear your intent that, yes, I want to hook up with you tonight, for sure. I want to hook up with you tonight.
yeah. So that's another big thing, that the screening can be verbal as well. That's maybe some that didn't get across to me from before, but once you learn that, that opens up a whole new world of possibilities of how you can take your interaction. So Don't be afraid of
Yeah.
that. That's good. And then uh third thing I wrote down was just watching your social calibration. If you did an approach and maybe they weren't very receptive, you were immediately like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." You were quick to back off and know when maybe you overstepped your boundaries. Don't be afraid to apologize, guys. I know there's a very common it's
Yeah.
common to say, "Oh, never apologize." That's like, "Oh, these guys masquerading as being alpha chads all the time." I never apologize for
Hmm.
anything. Don't be afraid to throw out your sorry if you feel like you stepped on a toe or something. That's totally fine. So that's another thing I wrote
That's a
down.
great point.
Um, then
Yeah, there's a lot of things probably Charlie noticed that is against a lot of the what people are taught. So
oh
you're
yeah,
like, oh,
the
you do
conventional
that? That is
wisdom.
that. So no, yeah, conventional wisdom is some of the things I'm sure he saw was probably like, wow, this guy is apologizing, or he seems like he's being like that. That's against the
Oh
the
yeah,
rules of pickup. But
yeah.
dude,
Alphas
you
don't say
could do
sorry.
yeah, yeah, like shit like that, bro. Alpha to me, I mean, I'll touch on that real quick. Is basically who you are, your presence, how you carry yourself inwardly. You know, when you walk up to a woman, we all know that guy. We all had a mentor, a role model who could just walk in the room and you go, damn, someone's here. He's here. You know, he's fucking here. We know he's here.
Yeah,
You know, he don't need to even say shit, but we all know someone like that.
we all have a
And once
reference
you
point.
have that, they all have a what?
We all have a reference point.
Repeat. Yeah, we have a reference point of what that feels like, what an alpha feels like when
Yeah,
someone walks in a room. And then we've also at times felt like we were that dude, you know, where
yeah,
you could say, yeah, I was that dude. I walked into the room, whether the kids were younger than me or I was an influence at some level, and people just felt it, felt my presence, felt my power, felt that strength. Um, and That's to me an alpha. Not this bullshit where you can't verbally say anything. You can basically get away with so much verbally. You can get away with a lot of verbal
yeah,
stuff if you carry yourself well. I will not always prescribe that for every single person if they're so brainwashed. Because don't forget, we're starting with such a programmed, conditioned mind. So that is our challenge. We're going to face obstacles. We're going to have challenges, and that's our challenge. Is that our conditioning, the ways we think, what we believe. If we're so scared and nervous and we really do believe that these words are like, you know, we're going to get arrested or locked. You know, we're dude, paranoia runs wild. So, um, yeah, I won't always prescribe it. I calibrate accordingly, just like I do with women, just the way I do with men or other guys who are trying to learn and develop that alpha trait, I'll call it,
yeah,
that alpha that we all, you know, that alpha that we all have buried inside of us. We want that alpha that's buried inside of us that we're given permission to live.
yeah. And just to touch on that real quick, this was something I was thinking about. If some of you guys out there are listening and maybe you don't have a great reference point for it, or maybe you don't have a good reference point for alpha in terms of pickup, in terms of a guy that's getting girls, what that looks like. It's a totally, I thought about this just today. It's a great exercise or good resource to go to a bar and just look around and look for who are the coolest guys in the bar, who are the guys
Yeah.
that are the coolest dudes that the girls will be receptive to, who have the most alpha energy, and that's something you can emulate. If you don't know what that looks like in every social setting, you can go out and find it and use guys as a reference point. So it doesn't always have to be I'm going to go to the bar and act like Andrew Tate or whatever. Know, in every environment there's going to be a couple cool guys. Be aware of them
Yeah.
and try to
Mm-hmm.
follow that trend, follow that energy. Um, that's just
Yeah.
something real quick I thought of.
Yep.
But and then so I
That's a
wrote
good point. That's a great point.
just two more things I wrote down real quick. Lone wolves versus large groups. So you said lone wolf, girl solo walking down the street or uh, at the bar, whatever. If she's solo, always go for it. Always go talk to her. Even even if she's not someone that you're maybe super interested in that night, guys, just go talk to her. And if there's two
Mm-hmm.
girls, maybe like uh, a girl with her friend, that's not as perfect as one by herself, but that's as close as it gets. So like the idea as the numbers build up, the more barriers there are put up, the more girls that are going to be willing to cock block or maybe throw you
Yeah.
off, throw monkey wrenches at you.
The except
Yeah, go for
the
it.
exceptions to those sometimes could be like, for instance, me and Charlie ran into a group of girls in their late 40s, some in their early 50s, and
Uh,
girls are just, their sexual energy is at their almost peak, I think, a woman. And they just, there's times where it doesn't even fucking matter too
yeah,
much, but by and large, like Charlie's saying, yeah, as the numbers and the groups get bigger, the amount of like cock blocks and these unwritten rules that these women make, these pacts at the beginning of the night. I mean, we'll also get insight to a lot of women that will be coming to our program and give us a lot. We'll actually be able to work with some women too. I'll keep that in mind, and all the details will be on the site about that. But the insight that women have sometimes is that they do make pacts in the night before the night goes out. Are we open to going out and fucking tonight? Really? Straight up
yeah.
like that. They know how to communicate. They make pacts.
I can
So that's
verify
something to
that
keep in mind.
from very recent experience.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's also
Absolutely.
yeah. We'll talk about that too for sure. And then the
Well, that's
last
a good thing about getting a girl it's always good. Guys have been pressing me lately. Aren't you trying to get the high value girls? Aren't you trying to get the nines, the tens? And they're really there's a little bit of pushback on me saying, take down the fives, go for the fives, do it at the beginning, because it's not so much about the face at the beginning. We're really trying to rewire this, and you become more attractive actually when you don't are really an equal opportunist.
yeah,
The more equal opportunist guy you are when you're that dude who really sees is yeah, he can acknowledge the beauty of some girl that he has a preference, but really it took me a while to realize, wait a second, I was so picky, and a lot of that shit underneath it, we believe those lies. Oh, I just have a particular no, you're actually avoiding something, or not getting
yeah,
or not confronting the problem. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And
When
you
beauty
become a
doesn't
better
phase you,
person, bro. Yeah, if it comes into you are building your own attraction really for yourself.
absolutely. When beauty doesn't
Yeah,
phase you, if when you treat all girls the same, that's actually
yeah,
secretly a very attractive thing. Girls can tell that for sure.
that's something that really doesn't get taught in the pickup community. I've never really been taught that. An equal opportunist, and then
Yeah,
treat beauty all the same. You become this super cool. The vibrations you're giving off when you're out and about doing your thing is really a high level. It's really a high vibrational frequency that you're giving off, bro.
yeah,
Because you're treating everybody. You're not seeing color. You're not seeing faces. You're on some crazy plane where you don't care. You legitimately are so happy inside with yourself, and then you'll fucking take a girl overweight. You don't really have your standards are not that uh, high, because that is code word most of the time for like your other insecurities and excuses not to approach. And I
yeah,
guarantee that guy has a lot of problems, and he's not really happy with himself, truly.
yeah.
You know, very easy to read at the end of the day. Yeah.
The one guy that does say that I'll give him credit. Shout out to Coach Corey Wayne. If you guys know him, he's more of a relationship coach than say like pickup or anything. But I learned a little bit of
What's
that
his
from
name?
him.
Corey what?
Corey Wayne.
Corey who?
Corey Wayne.
Corey when? I never heard. Okay.
Wayne. He's a pretty cool dude, but I got learned that from him when I first started. He was one of the first books I read about, getting better with girls, was this idea of treating all girls the same. All girls are the same to you. Beauty doesn't phase you. Uh, he's a cool dude, so if you guys haven't checked him out, I recommend it. But then the last
Yeah.
thing
There's.
I wrote
Yeah.
down was complimenting looks. I think there's another
Mhm.
uh, thing that gets said a lot in red pill pickup community, guys giving advice when they don't really know what they're talking about. They go, "Oh, never compliment a girl's looks. They get a beautiful girl gets complimented on her looks all the time. She's so used to all these dorks telling her she's beautiful. If you tell her she's beautiful, you're just another one of these fucking dorks. She'll write you off. Doesn't mean anything." And as I saw from
Mhm.
you and learned, that's total bullshit. When you're first approaching a
Yeah.
girl and you're just you're putting yourself in front of her, you're starting a conversation. If you start and go, "Oh my god, you're one of the most gorgeous girls I've ever seen, you're so beautiful," it that's totally fine. That
Yeah.
lets her know where you're coming from, where you're at. Hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
This is what I think about you, and it gives you a chance to establish a little rapport, start a conversation, and then let things flow naturally. So this don't
Yes.
compliment girls. It's total bullshit. If you like something about a girl, tell her that and fucking turn it up to level 10. You know. Um.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, that is the most foolish advice ever. Like, it really is. Like, when I'm grabbing a girl's ass, like, you have the fucking nicest ass. You know, your ass is fucking nice. She just smiles and smirks because you're so dominant. The girl wants a dominant guy. Again, it goes back to what we were saying. It's not so much what you say; it's how strong your presence is, really. And you could get away with really saying anything. All those lines and stuff, and that stuff is really for you. Shouldn't give it too much power. Really focus on walking up to the woman and just holding eye contact for a second, holding her hand, and just keep your words even short and sweet. Just the sweeter the better. At times you could get into deeper conversations as you go on. There's no real hard pressed rule book. We are just developing that alpha quality and giving it permission to be free and let it be free and strengthen our core. We all have it. We just need to strengthen it. It's buried and buried and buried underneath all the conditioning. But each one of us men are made to be, a dominant towards a woman, in bed. She wants you to, move her around in different positions and be the leader in the household. That's not talked about either. The woman wants that. She wants you to be to lead her. We're
Yeah.
going here tonight. Charlie's got a great place downtown. It's one of the nicest condos in Charleston. You got to check this out. Follow me and take charge, take control. That alpha inside of all of us is buried through conditioning. So we're trying to really let it come to the surface, really, and be who we are, be who we really are.
Yeah. But yeah, man, those were just
Yeah.
some quick headlines I wrote down, wanted to throw out. But yeah, man, that's just a couple of the small things I learned from working with Scotty that weekend. So definitely more to come
man.
on that.
Yeah, and me and Charlie have been in contact pretty much every day, and it sounds to me like he's juggling two different types of lives right now. But like I said, it's just turning out where he's going to be stepping into a lot of time to really focus on himself and his life outside of the military. From what I believe, we'll go into detail with that later at a later date, but. We've been in contact every day, and we will never ever write off somebody who comes to one of these programs. That's happened to me countless times, and I felt like I was abandoned by guys who I really invested a lot of time with. And sometimes I get it; people are busy, people move on, but it'd be nice to hear from them once in a while. It'd be nice where it wasn't just about money, or we could see through that because we've been through that stuff. We've seen it firsthand. So I've always been a guy. I've always talked to these people, or reached out to these people and stayed close to these people. There'll be it's a brotherhood and it's a family.
Yeah, man. So
So
what do you think? Should we wrap it up? We're probably heading on
yeah,
over an hour
yeah,
of content at this point. So
yeah. So guys, just be on the lookout for my website to drop in probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and all this information will be up there, so it'll be easier to get a hold of me. And comment, subscribe, and like. Get used to seeing Charlie's face. He's going to be probably on my channel more often. He's
we'll see it
actively in the field. And
oh no,
what does
that
that say? Yeah, he's
comes backwards. I was gonna write down like
yeah.
my socials to try to get everyone to follow, but the camera's in
Yeah,
reverse.
follow
So
this man, bro. Remember this guy's face. He's a very
I'll
dude. He's got
comment
his masters. He's a
all my
military. This
accounts
guy's
below the video so everyone knows.
yeah, because he's going to be in the thick of things, and I'll get used to seeing his face. We're going to drop a ton of content. The more, the better. Because I remember back in the day, I'll end it with this: like searching on the internet and like watching the same thing over and over again. I think I looked up to one guy who was an interview. His name was the Pheromone Kid, and he said some concepts to me that were just mind blowing.
Yep.
How genuine and authentic he was and direct about pulling girls quickly from. He was in a band, and then the way he would frame it. Oh, I'm gonna. To even think that was possible was crazy to me, and it really resonated what we're about is stretching our boundaries, our preconceived notions, our rewiring the whole thing. You know, all this programming that about a lot of different topics like monogamy and is that right, and what the universe is telling us as opposed to what society is telling us. They're telling us two different messages. You know, one is saying be with one, or yet we're always getting a new opportunity every day when we see a brand new face. That woman is looking at you with no judgments, really. She's seeing you totally different from the woman who just drew up a conclusion about you the night before. So every day, the universe is really giving us a new opportunity to present ourselves, right? And we're taught not to believe that, to hold on to your judgments about this particular woman or this particular case. Oh, we're given new opportunity every day to grow, to expand, and stretch our boundaries, really, at the end of the day. So yeah, be on the lookout for the website, and it's going to be off the hook, man. Get on while you can, because there's going to be a lot of people who are interested, and it's going to fill up really quickly. I hope to get two of these programs a year, maybe take a 2-month break and then get two of these programs in a year. That's kind of the goal here, and that's what's going to happen. So be prepared, boys.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be awesome.
All right, yo. Peace. Checking out.
All right. Peace out, brother.
Peace out, bro.